Today, we are thrilled to host an extraordinary woman whose career is a testament of perseverance, dedication, and of course, excellence. From early on her days of volunteerism to her current stature as a powerhouse event production planner, she not only has left an indelible mark on some of the most prestigious events in America, but she has also built an indelible career as a businesswoman from the ground up. Rose has organized events for Michelle Obama, coordinated the 114th NAACP event in Boston, Massachusetts. She has worked on the re-election campaigns of both President Obama and President Biden, and she was nominated for an Emmy Award. She has headed events for Vice President Kamala Harris, and her journey is nothing short than inspirational. Join us today to uncover her remarkable story and the driving strengths behind Rose Staram of RoseMark Productions. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah, and I just want to start out by saying, guys, this is what leadership looks like, just in case you come across this. Because like I was explaining to Miss Rose, a lot of people don't want to be bothered with people when they first get started. They feel that I want to make sure you've gotten momentum. I want to make sure you can give me some clout. I want to make sure this and this and that. But this is what leadership is all about. When you reach back and you help people who don't have all that yet, and you say, yeah, I don't mind. And so I just want to say thank you, because you didn't have to. Again, you have worked with some of the most prestigious people in the nation, and you continue to. So that's a blessing. So thank you so much, and I just wanted to start out with that.
I appreciate you for saying that, and that is what I wake up and go to sleep with, that belief that I have to give back to people who were once in my own position. So someone reached back out and gave me an opportunity, and that's why I have to do it now.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, then. Now, just take us on your journey. I know that you started in back, is it Mattapan? Am I pronouncing that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mattapan.
That is right.
Yeah, Mattapan. And Massachusetts, correct? And you just started as a person who was inspired by this industry of event planning. But before that, you worked as an accountant. And how did you connect the two? So how did that come about? Yeah, because that's two opposite ends. It really is. It's accountant, that left brain, that mathematical, and then now you're in that creative realm. So how did that connect?
I love the question. So yes, I was born and raised in the inner city, Mattapan, Massachusetts, also known, unfortunately, as Murderpan, because the violent crime rate over there was pretty bad when I was growing up.
Okay.
Single mom, family household. She was disabled, so we were a part of the whole system. And growing up, and I just knew that I needed to have a steady job and a steady career.
Okay.
So my creative brain shut down, and I knew that I had to go to college and get a strong academic background and a strong degree, so that I could have a really good job in order to take care of myself and my family. Okay. So accounting was not a preference; it was more of a need. It checked all the boxes, and it made sense financially for me. So sometimes you don't do what you want to do; you do what you got to do.
Oh.
And so that's how I went into accounting in school and got my certificate in tax accounting, and basically started my career self-employed as a tax accountant. And it was more of a need more than a want.
A want. Okay, then.
But I was always into music and the technical sides of like the sound systems and the lighting. I used to volunteer as a young child a theater, just, working the strobe light. So I always had love for back of stage and all that other stuff. But that wasn't, I knew that wouldn't pay the bills because I actually like to do it,
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I, you know how that is. So, yeah.
So my thing is, it sounds like you've been into volunteerism ever since a child. Did your mother inspire that? Because even before you got into, working with these huge events, you
Mhm.
volunteered. That's how you got your big break. So was that something instilled to you by your parents, or what, or that's just something you naturally do? You just like to naturally volunteer.
Well, I appreciate that question too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. No one's ever asked me that, so
Mm-hmm.
that kind of just triggered a bell there. I always felt the easiest way in is to tell somebody you'll work for free.
Oh, wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
as a woman, as a person of color, we usually get underpaid. Unfortunately, usually we are not hired for the higher positions.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually kind of felt like, coming in quietly and saying, "Hey, I can help," will get me in a position where I could showcase my talents. And that's what I did. I knew that I had to be more strategic and plan my
Mm-hmm.
ways through life,
Mm-hmm.
because just showing up as a Black woman is not the door opener, right? It's
Yeah.
being in there and being able to showcase your quality. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
it's being able to showcase your quality and let people see who you are. Um, versus coming and knocking on the door saying, "I want a job," and that's worked.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
say, and I say that to a lot of young Black, a lot of young brown and Black students. Take these opportunities when you're young and you're living at home to volunteer. Get the experience, get the networking out there,
Mm-hmm.
and that really will push you to the next level. So
Nice.
that's where volunteerism came for me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to be in it, and I didn't care if it didn't mean I got paid or not. Yeah.
Okay, then. How do you balance? Because I'm gonna move on with that. But how do you balance? Because I think some people don't know how to balance when is enough volunteerism versus when you need to
Mhm.
be moving your career ahead. How did you
I
balance that?
love
Because
that.
yeah, because that's important. Because some people are just get stuck in
Yeah.
volunteerism, and the goal is to move yourself. You want to help. Don't get me wrong, and you always want to keep that part of you. Because even when you build businesses or whatever you do, you want to have that part of you that's always giving, like what you're doing today. But how do you balance that between I want to volunteer, but I also need to keep moving my career ahead? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when it's time to get
Your
paid.
questions are just amazing, amazing questions. I'm so grateful for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way. So,
Mm-hmm.
but now I understand when it is time to move on and when it is time to ask for more money and also when it is time to level up.
Okay.
I think when you start anywhere, unfortunately, you're always going to be seen as some sort of volunteer.
Uh-huh.
So typically when I volunteered on a campaign or whatever have you, I was always the volunteer. I was always that person, but didn't mean I couldn't get the skill set of those
Mm-hmm.
people that were hired, those people that were making money. So now the next campaign that came along, I could say, I have the experience doing this. What are you paying? And so it's these baby steps that we have to take in life, these learning. You can't move on to the next unless you've really mastered where you are. So once
Okay.
I started to master certain fields as a volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
my next step was to leave that scope because that's what all they knew me as was a volunteer. But leave that group of people, move on
Exactly.
to a new group of people and showcase my
So
skills.
basically just making strategic moves, knowing in your intuitive state, okay, I've mastered this skill. They're not really working here, so let me move on and take this skill and keep building. Nice, nice, nice.
There you go.
Okay, how did
There
your
you go.
cultural, because I do know that you come, is it Jamaican? Am I saying that right? Is it island or
No,
Jamaican?
Martinique. Martinique.
What is that?
Martinique.
What is Martinique?
It's a small island next to
Okay.
Grenada, St. Lucia, Martinique.
Wow.
Hmm.
You know
Caribbean. Caribbean.
Beyonce's what do you call her? Publicist is from Grenada. You know that, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yes. She's straight up from Grenada. She's been with her 20 some years, I think, but
Grenada.
she's from Grenada. Yeah. Uh-huh. But how did your
Okay.
cultural background, how did that play an influence in your professional journey? Because I know that like some
Uh,
people they have a hard time. Like one of the ladies I interviewed, she straight came from Africa. So her culture,
mm,
it was hard for her. Like she has a whole business now, an accounting firm, but it was so hard for her because of her dialect, because of where she came from. How did that play a role, your career, your family? in the background of where you came from to who you are now? Like was it hard, or was there difficulties or challenges, or and how did you deal with those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Again, great question. Yeah, so I speak another language. So growing up, it was very hard speaking two languages and not understanding like how I wasn't formulating, proper sentences, or how my
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary was so small because I had two languages in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes bilingual children in the inner city growing up don't have the privilege of understanding that you may need a little bit more help, learning words, and because you have two languages going on in your head, right? So that's unfortunate, but that was a hindrance growing up and going through the whole school system,
Yeah.
and even going to college and all that other stuff. There was a lot of things that I had to go through to get through that challenge of being bilingual and having a parent from a different country. Culturally, very different. We
Mm-hmm.
ate differently. We live differently. We had different work ethics than the American children that I dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, raised in a strict household, so there was rules that I had to follow. But now, as an adult, I see that those things were all beneficial to me. My work ethic is insane. My family
Exactly.
values insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so
say the same
those
thing.
cultural,
Yeah. I say
Mhm.
that because I was like, my
Yeah.
grandmother was so mean. She didn't let me do what everybody else did. But but now that I'm an adult, I be like, I see why she didn't let me do that. She was protecting me from that.
Exactly.
And so it's not until you become
Exactly.
an adult that you really understand the value system that your family
Yeah.
or your certain people build in you. And then when you start building things,
Absolutely.
that stuff translates through your blood, and it becomes who you are.
100.
It's your nature.
100%.
Okay, then. Um,
100%.
I just love this. I love this. How do you view leadership in your particular field? Like, what are some of the elements that you feel that is important in your field? Because again, you're dealing with the media. So that means you're dealing with people's
Hmm.
minds. You know what I'm saying? And what are some of the elements that you can share with those? Because again, I had did a little short video, a short clip. And it got, I think it got like 400 and some views, like seriously, like in one
Oh,
day.
nice.
Yeah, because I was like giving a little clip, like I'm gonna be interviewing someone who knows about working with Obama and working, and so
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I didn't tell who, but I was like little bitty tidbits, and it just to because people don't understand that it really takes values, like it takes values to work with these type of people because you have to have loyalty.
Yeah.
They have to be able to trust you.
Yep.
You're dealing in their personal arena, but it also takes values as yourself in building your business and making sure that you earn that respect. And so what are those some
Right.
values as a leader in your field that you feel that you can share with those coming behind you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the leadership qualities that the people that hire me see, and then the people that work for me see, I think
Mm-hmm.
is the same, right? They see
Mm-hmm.
a fun, happy, charismatic person who always is cool, always like ready for the stress and ready to combat the stress without being at a 10. So they always see me in control. They always see me ready to not say, oh God, this is over. This is messed up, but they're always ready to see me say, okay, what is our solution to this problem? There's always going to be problems. What is a solution? So again, the folks at the top and the folks that work for me all see the same roles. I'm going to be that leader that needs the work done. I'm going to be that leader that makes sure the work gets done, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also going to allow you to voice your opinion, to tell me what you want on both ends, and
Mm-hmm.
really strive on the team coming together to make things work, as well as me and my client coming together to make sure that their vision is reality. So
Nice.
it's not working with, or I'm sorry, working for a person. It's working with that person. It's not people working for me. It's me working with my team. So I think leadership is really being able to immerse yourself in whatever segment of relationship you're dealing with, and being able to really talk with everyone at the same level, but still keeping that level of integrity that people respect you. And I think that's
Nice.
important.
Nice. And that leads me to my next question, because you
Yeah.
do work with a team. Like it takes a team and you work with a
Mhm.
team. And of course, I've been on
Absolutely.
Instagram and you got a beautiful team. I like the way y'all pose, girl. Y'all be rocking. Y'all be having fun. But
We do. We
yeah,
do.
you do. And I love for you to share, because each person's personality is different. So I love for you to
Right.
share so that people can get a little bit of insight, like how a team works. Because some people is more logistic. Some people is more, especially when you're working in event planning, you have to deal with logistics. You have to deal with creativity, because you have to be
Yeah.
so creative for each event. You don't want each event to look the same. And then you have to deal with the
Right.
budget. You have to deal with the money, and which came into play with you with accounting, I'm pretty sure. Which parts of that that shine through Miss Rose the most? Like, I know your team is
Yep.
at work, but who is Rose in those roles? Like, who are you? What is your
Yep.
best or strength or your asset when it comes to
I
your
appreciate
team?
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So our team, we're a small but mighty team, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have definitely retired from the accounting world. That is not my life anymore. On my team, I do have the chief financial officer, Richard. He does all the books, so he takes care of keeping the lights on. I have my vice president of the company, Shirley. She is my HR. She's my lawyer. She is the legal brain behind the company. So these things I don't worry about. I don't worry about contracts. I don't worry about getting paid. I mean, I do worry that, at the end of the day,
I
but
know.
those,
I know what you're
everyone
saying.
has their role. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So, and then Shirley also makes sure I take my medicine in the morning. That's what I always tell my clients. She's my right hand. She makes sure I take my medicine, so I'm like on top of it. But that
I
bad
know
joke,
what you're
but still a
saying.
joke.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
She
she's really
makes
like
sure
the
that you
person
have
that keeps
your day together in the morning, because you need that.
together, and that
You need that.
we
That's
need, yeah, you need the support. No matter
mm-hmm.
how you're not great unless the people around you are greater, and that really propels you. And then Aisha on our team, she is our creative everything. It's funny because when I do my thing and Aisha walks through the door to do all the creative design, flowers and decor, I walk out the back door because
She
I don't even
is
want to
a
deal with it. So
powerhouse. Like
she
Aisha,
is, and I love it.
oh
Love
my God.
her.
They showed a part of her designs in the interview. I was like, that's the most beautiful thing. Like, it's like you chose your
Yeah.
people perfectly. Like, what was
I
that
and I and
process
I
like?
trust
Yeah,
them.
you got to,
Oh,
because that young lady, like, she is the top, she is the Beyonce of design, like, for real. Like
she
for real,
is.
for
She
real.
is. She
Like,
brings it.
I
Boom.
am
And
serious.
I'm
I was like, oh my God, her
yeah,
stuff is it's beautiful and elegant, but it's
yeah.
not just beautiful and elegant. You can see strategy in it. You can see,
Yep.
and I'm talking about with a glimpse. Most people's stuff you have to study just to look, No, her
Right.
stuff is like in your face, and you can just name off of the top strategy, creativity, elegance. And I'm
Yep.
like, wow, she is really, really talented. Really talented.
Flush. Flush.
Yeah,
And that's the thing,
yeah.
like in my
Hmm.
yeah, and for me, like that's not me, right? So I am, and when you say what do I bring to the table? I am a production guru. Like I am about the lighting, the sound, the staging. In politics, we don't do flowers and colors and
Hmm.
we don't do that stuff. So it's kind of nice to have Aisha on the team who will allow me to do my technical pieces, which is build that 100-foot stage, which is
Hmm.
worried about all the logistics, when working with presidents, you got to work with Secret Service, counter assault teams, the Navy and everybody else, and Air Force One. So there's so many technical pieces
Hmm.
in working with these different people that I work with. But then I have Aisha that can come in and make people go, "Oh, that's so pretty."
Yes. I was
So,
like,
and I
oh,
trust her.
yeah.
Yeah.
She
So
is, she's brilliant.
it's
She's brilliant. Hmm.
and just think of building a house, right? You have the
Hmm.
structure of the house, which is the foundation and all of that stuff. And then at the end, you bring in the marble and you bring in, the pretty colors and all that other stuff. But the
Yeah.
foundation and the house structure has to be built. So I'm the one that builds the house. She's the one that decorates it.
There
And
you
so it's
go.
just a perfect match.
Team A,
Perfect
baby,
match.
team A, team A. And
Yes.
you know what? I'm a start taking it into something else now. That's really nice to know, because people, especially that want to go into this field, and I know they waiting for that
Mhm.
question. Well, what it's like to work with Obama, the Obamas, what is it like to work with Michelle? Everybody wants that question, but we're gonna get to that. But yeah, we're gonna get to that. Because I want to know that. Everybody wants to know that. But I thought it was important, because people who want to work in this field and follow behind the footsteps of what you guys do, it's important for them to understand how you strategically choose your team, because everybody is going to be different. Like, people,
Right.
like some people gonna be more mathematical, some people gonna be more like you said, logistics, but you have to know who you are, and then you have to surround those people around you who are great at what they do. So I'm glad you touched on that. That's
Absolutely.
very, very good. So I'm gonna take it into again, I heard about you talking about working in Boston and what it's like, you know, how it's kind of this important for you that you're getting all these big name contracts and, you know, of course you getting these bids but you're not getting the support that you need from where you are. And most people need, you know,
Yeah.
supposed to have that. They supposed to have their city to say, hey, she comes from us, you know, and to
Yeah.
not, yeah, because that's most people claim that, especially a lot of stars. This is our hometown. You know, what was it like? Because to me, you're a woman of strength and character. Because some people they
Yeah.
would have got up and moved. They would have said, forget that.
Mm.
There's a lot of people who get support from their hometown and still move from their hometown. Like I can name a whole bunch
Right.
of them. They don't live in their hometowns. I can name it. But you stayed there. You stayed there in spite of. And to me,
Yeah.
what made you make that choice? Like
My
what made
family.
you, yeah, yeah.
100, yeah,
Mhm.
100% my family.
Mhm.
I want to say that I want to be that person, say I'm the bigger, better person here. You know,
Mhm.
Boston really doesn't have room for people that are like me, and I push through. No, my family was why I stayed. Many a times I thought through the move, you know, because
Mhm.
it didn't make sense knocking on all these doors with my credentials and being denied. And so a
Exactly.
lot of, it bothered me a lot because I'm like, wow, if I have these credentials and I'm getting this type of pushback, what are the people trying to come up having? What are they
Mhm.
getting? You know, and
Mhm.
that's what scared me is because if I can say I did the inauguration of President Biden and I can't get a contract in Boston, what are the people who are trying to come up and do little things to get ahead? What are they facing out here? And that scared me.
Yeah.
That really, really scared me. But my family is here, my base is here. And and I started knocking harder and I started networking a lot more,
Mhm.
started to get onto boards and really contacting the Black Economic Council out here and
Mhm.
really talking to the mayor's office. You know, when the NAACP came to Boston, we were all over it. We were like, hey, we are a Black firm. There's no reason we're not being hired in the state to do this work. And
Nice.
so I think, the knocking on the door, the anger, and it really started to open up doors. And guess what? I'm not going in there alone. We're bringing people with us from Boston. We're bringing the florists. We're bringing the sound system. We're bringing folks who are left behind in Boston that are
Mhm.
Black and brown,
Mhm.
women, with us through those doors. And so, like I said, I don't just walk in and close the door behind me. Now I'm opening up both doors so we can flood through. I'm opening up windows.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? So,
That's right.
um,
And that
and
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 that leads me
and so now,
to, yeah, and I'm sorry,
uh
but that does, it leads me
no,
to,
you're fine.
because I know you want to be multinational. And you said one of the
Yeah,
reasons why you wanted to be multinational is for this very reason. For this very reason, where you can bring in people who don't have the
yeah,
advantage that others had. And I just think that, like, if I listen real closely and if people listen real closely, like your strength to say, I'm going to stay right where I'm at and I'm going to fight. Now you're opening doors for others. You understand what I'm saying? And not only are you doing that locally,
absolutely,
you're doing that internationally. So you're basically honoring
absolutely.
your word. You're building that dream and that vision that you envisioned. And it's getting
Yeah,
even bigger and bigger because you're international now. You're not just local. You're
yes,
international. So you work
no,
international. Yeah.
yeah,
And can you
we
imagine?
do.
You got these big firms that are international, and then RoseMark is beginning to be international like that, and all the people that
Yeah,
is going to employ, all the just people that's
yeah.
going to employ. That's amazing. That's amazing. I know when you sit back
We
one
just
day and you sitting there with your lemonade and you're on your porch and they're interviewing you, you're gonna be like, yeah.
retired,
You be like, yeah, and you're looking at,
retired.
and they're showing all your international footage and all these employees and
Um,
stuff. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, seriously, can you imagine? Because that's the dream.
Absolutely,
That's the dream. That's the
that's
dream.
the
Because
dream.
we don't
That is
get
the
to
belief.
that.
That
Yeah,
is the belief.
but we don't get to take. I think Denzel Washington said it best. You don't take it with you, and you don't. You don't
Right.
take it with you. There's no hearse.
Amen.
There's no thing in your behind your hearse. There's no house. There's no
No,
car. There's no business. No nothing.
no,
And all you leaving
just your memory.
is what that is, you know. And I can see you
Yeah.
like Mary Kay. Like I can see you like Mary Kay. You know who Mary Kay is, right? So
Yes, of
yeah.
course, of
So you
course.
know she's international
Yeah.
and she did all those things, and that's a forever name. Like that's just
Yeah.
forever name. And it's a forever company too.
Amen.
So constantly employing people, even long after she's gone, people are being employed. So
Gone. Yeah.
yeah. So some people are designed to build that big. It's just the way it is. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why they have that drive like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like some people are designed
Mm-hmm.
to have the mom and pop stores that help the communities, but some people are truly designed to build big things because everybody's
Yes.
not going to be an entrepreneur. Like we know that. Like we like to think that, but it's not true. Some people don't want to be an entrepreneur. They love to work.
Right.
They just love to work, get what they do, and they don't deal with building. They don't want that part. And so I think those companies are
Right.
important. They're very, very important. So I'm going to move on down here. Now, can you describe to us, when was there a point in your life that it was so difficult, whether it was your life or career or just something very personal, and it was very, very difficult, and you felt like you would never make it through it, but of course you did. And
Mm-hmm.
what did it take to overcome that adversity? Just something that you would like to share, because so many people go through adversities and there's something on the other side of that adversity. It could be a business, it could be something, but it's
Mm-hmm.
something. It could be an invention or anything. And right now they just can't see past it. They just can't. You know how we've been
Mm-hmm.
in points in our lives, whether we're younger or older, we just couldn't see past that. And so how can you inspire
Right.
them, encourage them that, yeah, we have those moments. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think when I decided to open up this business was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And we got our first huge contract, and I was feeling good. We were rolling into 2020 with the idea of possibly going down to the convention in Milwaukee, and we literally had flights set up, and I was like, this 2020 is my year. And that March, it became everybody's nightmare when the whole country shut down. And I didn't know if we were going to make it. We're an events company, freshly started. Here I am giving up all of my accounting stuff, quit all of that stuff and said, I'm going to focus on this production company, this event company. And all of a sudden we are in the mid of a national crisis where people cannot engage with each other. And so at that point, I didn't know, and I couldn't fathom like what I had just done by quitting everything. And I also knew that if this thing lasted more than 6 months, I was in trouble. And so 2 years later, it was definitely like a holy crap. But I kept my composure and I pivoted. And I think that's what people need to learn how to do. Your dream can always be your dream. Your belief can always be your belief. But if you're going in a certain direction and it's not working, learn to pivot. Doesn't mean pivot. Doesn't mean that your destination is going to be somewhere else. It's going to be exactly where you want it to be, but you can use another different road to get there. And that's what I did. So that's when we went virtual. Well, I didn't know anything about virtual, but I got on YouTube and I learned how to do things virtually. We had virtual coffees and virtual dinners. And then I really dug into networking, really started getting myself acclimated to the Zoom world and pivoted, and that's what saved RoseMark. And because of that, we were still known, and we landed in 2021, then Joe Biden's inauguration, which a lot of it had to do with virtual stuff. So that was my worst moment was COVID, in a stance of business wise, but also in my best moment. Now I could look back and say that was my best moment because it made me pivot. It gave me the ability to move and shift and see that movement still got me to my destination.
Nice.
So
see, y'all can't give up, y'all. Y'all can't give up. You got to pivot.
win and lose. When you're losing, that's when you're learning.
Exactly.
But the win will come.
Exactly. The question that everybody wants to know, what is it like? Because you've worked with her on more than one occasion, of course. What is it like? Were you nervous at first? Did you feel that you was ready for the job? I mean, how did it even come about that you would be working with her? Like, take us on that journey. Like, what is it worth to, because so many people love her. Like, so many people do. You know that. And what is it like
Yes.
to work with her? Like, what is it like to work with Michelle Obama?
So for your first question, was I nervous? It's almost 2 decades later, decade and a half later. Yeah, I'm still nervous. Every single time, I'm still nervous.
Y'all look like y'all
She's
could be
what
sisters
you see on
though. Y'all got the same like.
TV.
No, I mean in
Well,
essence.
I've learned a lot from her.
Yeah,
I've
I
learned
mean,
a lot from
do
her.
you know
So,
how some people like their essence? They have a strong type of business
mhm,
type, and that's how she is. So like y'all almost look like y'all can be sisters anyway. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's
Go
funny.
ahead.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, I was like,
No,
was
you're
you
fine. You're
nervous? Was you scared? Like, how did it come about though?
fine. Yeah.
Like, how did you get that? Like, how did
Oh,
you break into that? Yeah, was it with the President Obama thing or?
yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So basically, I started off doing political events advanced for President Obama. That strictly was on his campaign. Most of the reelect. That was, it was high level, high stress. It was just, oh my God, all the things. I went to Africa with him. It
Oh.
was just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do presidential advance, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy, and that's definitely like you were at the highest level of
You are.
stress, like the highest level of performance.
That's
And
why
so
they
I give
go
those guys
gray.
kudos all the time.
Do you know they go
Yeah.
gray? No, no, serious. They only be in office 4 years
There's
and
no
they go
competition.
gray. All of them. You
Yeah.
can go look at everybody's video. Like they go extra gray.
Yep.
They go extra gray. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that work with them is the same, the same thing. The stress level is there, and
Hmm.
being on all the time, right? You got to be on. You got to be ready to go in a drop of a hat. So I did that for quite a while with him, and then I got exposed to the family at one time
Wow.
doing the work, and
Hmm.
oh, it was just immediate, immediate. I was just like, oh, I love you, President. Oh, I love you. And everyone always wants to work for the highest office.
Of course.
But I
Of
said, you
course.
know what? I gotta go to the other side. I gotta go to the other side that really, really was comfortable and felt like home.
Hmm.
And so so I kind of took a step down by
Um,
leaving the president's office to go to the first lady's office. But oh, the
it
best
was
decision I ever
home.
made in my
It
life.
was home. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
home. It was home.
Yeah.
It was
So how
home.
do you guys like I know when you're working with her, like what is her personality like? Like I know it's positive because she's always inspiring to you guys.
Right.
But like is she sincere when she's working, or is she more
Oh,
laughter or fun, or like what is her personality like when she's working? Like when she's working. Like when
I
you guys are actually working.
I mean, yeah. Well, and I think
Mhm.
that's the thing too. Like a lot of people think like, I mean, we have a great working relationship. I
Mhm.
respect her beyond
Mhm.
respect. I admire her just like everybody else. When she's
Mhm.
on the stage, I'm thankful to God that I have great seats and I could listen
Mhm.
into all the gems that she drops to the public. But I also tell my friends and everybody else, I'm always like, she's also my boss. Like this is, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to represent her in the correct light and make sure that
Exactly.
everything she needs gets done properly. So it's
Mhm.
a very respectful relationship. I'm not sitting there, hey sister girl, what you doing? No, it's
Yes.
not that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's ma'am, no ma'am, ma'am
Mhm.
this way, ma'am, this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
And she's very kind and sincere to me. We've known each other for a long time. So there's mutual respect. And again, she is exactly what you see. She wants the betterment. She loves the children, loves people
Mhm.
of color and women and the betterment of society,
Okay.
and I admire that so much. And like, you're not the first person to say, oh, you kind of taken on this,
You did you
energy,
yeah,
um,
you
but
when you be
everyone
around
around her,
someone you like, but even when
right?
you look back at you when you had your boofy hair and your little fro and you was just not as even then, like y'all just have that like this is how you know when certain people click. Certain people just click.
Yeah.
It's not in the look,
Yep.
it's more of the essence of the energy. So it's like
The essence.
it's like
Exactly.
meeting your soulmate. You know what I'm saying? Like friends
Yes.
along the way and journeys along the way. And certain people just click and you
Yes.
guys just click. You can
But
tell, like if y'all was sitting
and I
beside each other
admire
on the stage, y'all just mashed
her.
together.
It
You
would
click.
be
No,
good.
seriously, it clicks. It clicks. It clicks
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because you're a boss, she's a boss, and I don't mean in a negative way, like people boss, and
No.
I just
No,
mean,
that's okay.
yeah,
I
I
take
just
it.
mean you guys have a leadership, a vision. That's what I'm really trying to say. That's the real word. And you can just
Yeah.
tell that
Yeah.
throughout you guys' persona. And but I was just
Yeah.
wondering, like, is she laid back when she's behind closed door, like having fun, or is she taking things seriously? Like, just that type of personality. Because we don't know her, we don't get to see that part of who she is. We
Of
just
her.
get to see,
No, I think you do
yeah.
know her.
Mm-hmm.
You do know her. If you
Mm-hmm.
see her on stage, that is who is
That's who.
behind the
Okay,
stage.
cool, cool.
That's it. But she's a professional.
Mm-hmm.
She has her gems. She drops the same tone that you're hearing in the crowd is the same tone that's heard in the back.
That she
This is
works
who
with
she
you
is,
guys
and
with,
that's why
yeah.
I love. Yeah, and I love and admire her. And I don't admire very much people or look up to very much people, but oh my God! And still to this day, 10 plus years later, she'll walk in a room and my heart was like, "Hi, man."
I know. Right? So,
Yeah, Rose, and
so,
it's like, okay.
so sweet. So,
So,
so
yeah.
sweet. Okay, then that I knew everybody wanted to know that about what it's really like to work at that level. And I think you delivered
Yeah.
that perfectly. I think you let people know it's fun, it's exciting, it's a part of the height of your career and your business. But at the same
Mhm.
time, you have to take it serious because there is stress. And you got to be able to balance
Yeah.
that stress because you're dealing with the highest level of information, the highest level of people
Right.
moving so fast. And so, yeah, I think that was perfect. And I know people wanted to know that,
Absolutely.
like, what is that really like? Because I know there's going to be some young people coming up. They want to work for the White House. It's just that
Mhm.
simple. They're going to
Yeah.
want to, they have their sights set on that one day they want to do what they see you guys do. So, yeah. So, yeah, I
Right.
thought that was
Which
very,
is,
yeah,
I'm happy for that.
yeah,
I'm happy
yeah.
for that.
And
Yeah.
so, again, this show is about not just about talk. I wanted to make sure that this show is also about action based, not just for leaders, but Americans also. So I like to ask like a couple of questions, one for leaders and then one for the American people. And this one is more about public sentiment and trust because, in the media, even though the media is one of our most beautiful places where we learn so much, it's also a lot where there's a lot of stuff that's sown. Like there's a lot of gossip, there's a lot of mess. Even with Michelle and Obama and all the presidents and stuff, we get sometimes misleading information. And so it tends
Yeah.
to bring public sentiment and public trust issues. So I would say, since there is this growing mistrust in government and in institutions, from your perspective as not only a business person, but as a event planner at the core, how do you help build trust? How do you help build, like when you're doing your campaigns for the people that you work with and stuff like that? How do you
Hmm.
help say,
Hmm.
hey, you're bringing in that, you're cultivating that trust, you're cultivating that environment of saying, hey, we're serious over here, we're trying to deliver a message. How do you
Right.
play a role in that is what I'm trying to say. Like, because I know that you have
Yeah.
to think and
And I,
plan things out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right. Right. And I think the important key to that is it's not only my clients choosing me to work, I choose my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's key, right? So if you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to build trust with an untrustworthy person or a dishonest person,
Mm-hmm.
um, or you're leaning on that, that client is not the client that has that reputation of being a good person, or then you're setting yourself up for
For failure.
failure and
Mm-hmm.
for and you'll be working with a dishonest person. So I strive and I pride myself on not only being chosen, hey, you got this contract. Okay, slow down. Who are you? What does your background look like? Who have you hired? What is my role in your life and how does that look? So I
Nice.
think it's the trust is worked on both ways, like they've got to trust me, but I've got to trust you. And so
Mm-hmm.
that when I feel like we're out there giving this messaging and we're pouring into your cause or your event, that it's genuine. And
Okay.
so I am careful with the people that I
Who
work
you
with and
choose.
for. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's perfect
100.
because a lot of young people need to understand that it's fun, it's enlightening, lights, camera, action, but you're dealing with people's lives and you're dealing with the
Yeah.
choices that you have to make in your career, but also the choices you make with the people that you work with. So that's perfect. That's perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah. And so there's a lot of economic and a lot of social realities that are going on. And so again, we were talking about how you're building a multinational company and stuff like that. As an American yourself, what are some of the issues that you feel that's important in legislation and as a voter? Because you're still
Mm,
American at the end of the day. When we take the titles off,
I
You
am.
know, you're still Rose at the end of the day, that your mother's raised and stuff like that, and you have your own personal desires. What are some of the things that you would
Absolutely.
like to see in legislation and that you hopefully will see the next leadership bring forth? You know, like what are some of those
Well,
ideas?
that's
Yeah.
a yeah, that's a whole load of questions, and I'll just run them off to you because you're right. I am a voting American. I
Yeah.
have a vote, and
Mm-hmm.
I plan to utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a woman. I need my women's rights are important to me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need anyone telling me what or when or how I can do what I want to do with my body. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to have control over ovaries and everything else, go get some, and then you can tell people what to do. You could do what you need to do with your own ovaries, but don't tell me what to do with mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's number one. Women's rights are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so women's rights are important. And then obviously brown and black folks, we are disproportionately impoverished in this country. There's a huge wealth gap. We need
Mm-hmm.
to create, we need to shrink that wealth gap. We need better pay. We need better education. We need better health system. Like there is a class in America that is predominantly of people of color that is
Mm-hmm.
left behind.
I
And
know.
it's not brain surgery. If you don't get the education, then you can't get a better job. You can't get a better job. You can't make more money. End case, poverty. So I think we know what the remedy is. We just need to make that remedy available to people so that
Exactly.
the people of color can grow. And I'm sick and tired of seeing the DEIs go away. You know, like we need to enforce a percentage of people getting jobs, a percentage of
Mm-hmm.
people going to schools that are not typically for us, that we
Mm-hmm.
can't get into and we can't afford.
Yeah.
So
And
all of
then, you
that
know what?
stuff
This
I
is
think
just
is
my personal opinion. I don't think DEI will ever be equal anyway. I think we are the solution.
right.
You understand? I'm just being honest with you. Because when I look at
Hmm.
diversity, equity, we even as black people suffer from our own black people sometimes. Like they'll discriminate against us
Yeah.
in the workforce. And so I tell people all the time, we are
Yeah.
the solution. You understand? Like I do believe
Right.
that every time
I
I run
love that.
into young black people, I say, listen, I know that this is what you want to do. You want to do hair, you want to do this and this and that. I said, but please think about, I tell them all the time. I tell people this all the time, especially a lot of young black people. I said, please, because in this country, it's going to be needed. I said, please think about building a business. I always tell them that. Think about building a business and hiring
Yep.
someone. People are going to need jobs. They're just going to need jobs. Black people are going to need jobs, and
Yep.
we are the solution. It's just like this platform right here. I plan
Yeah.
on growing it. I want it to be a studio, and I want to hire people.
Love
No,
it.
I don't want to just be here.
Yep.
I want to hire. I want to make it into something big, but I want to hire people.
Beautiful.
And I keep telling people, make sure you hire people. Don't just think about, because people are going to need jobs. They're going to need,
Yeah.
especially blacks,
Yes.
believe it or not, because the way this country is going, it is hectic out there. There's a lot of, I hate to say this, but black immigrants are not as accepted as much as other immigrants are from other countries. It's just the truth.
Mm.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And when we get
Yeah.
in this country, it's unfortunately, like you said, there's how do you say that? A disparity. You understand what I'm saying? There's a
Yeah.
fight and a battle over
Mhm.
jobs. There's a fight and a battle over, positions and all this kind of stuff. And that's why I keep
Right.
telling black people, you are the solution. You can fight about DEI. You can fight about systemic racism. You can fight about all that. I said, but until you stop doing it yourself and put yourselves in positions where you start hiring each other, you solve that problem.
Right.
You've solved it. You
Right.
start solving those problems.
100%.
We are the solution. So
100.
that's what I believe. That's what I believe. I just believe that. And so now, because I know you
100.
gotta go, I like to be a little
Yes.
philosophical. I like to be a little philosophical. I call these my philosophical, insightful nuggets. And I just throw out statements to you, and you just tell me, you listen to them closely, and you just tell me from your truthful heart, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? It's just statements that I throw out.
Fair.
Okay.
That's fun. Okay.
Today's youth and hip hop music culture.
Need to care and focus on what we're presenting to other American people and how we present ourselves, how we treat each other, especially our women.
Perfect.
We need to do better.
See how beautiful that is, y'all? Okay. The second
We
one,
need to do better, yeah.
we do. The second one, it's my birthright. What
to
comes to
have
mind?
fair and equal pay.
That's your
Fair,
birthright?
equal pay and opportunity. My
Okay.
birthright, opportunity.
Opportunity. The third one, which is the last one, Little Red Riding
Mhm.
Hood. What comes to mind when you think about Little Red Riding Hood? I love that
Porridge.
story. I love that story.
I'm thinking of like pop off my head is porridge. I want a bowl of porridge, I guess.
Yeah, Little Red
Red
Riding
coat.
Hood.
Yeah, that's
When I think about Little Red Riding Hood, you know what I think about? I think about
what?
don't go down that road. Her mother instructed her,
Mm,
stay on the path. Don't go down that road. I just love that
stay on the
story because when you're little and they telling the story, you only understand it so far. When you become an adult, it
right,
grows massively. The
right.
whole entire story. You're
I
looking
like
at
that.
it from different levels,
I like
from
that.
business, from everything you can think of, and it just it grows in your mind. So yeah, but I just
I didn't think
love
of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
yeah.
You're right.
I love that story, Little Red Riding Hood. I grew up with that, so and it's so big in my mind now. I think about it in business and in everything. So, in our
Yep.
closing, again, I
Yep.
want to thank you so much. And in our closing, is there anything that I didn't get to ask, or anything that you didn't get to express that you would like to express during this time?
Yeah, I think if I could just say 2 seconds to your viewers, that what you dream of and what you want for yourself is 100% possible. The thing is, if you think it's going to be easy, if you think it's going to be handed to you, if you're worried about what the other person's doing and not worried about your own self, you won't get there. But if you truly believe and you say, I can do this, and no matter what faces you, you're going to run through it and continue to push forward for what you believe and want, you will get there. A mistake people make is once they have a failure or setback, they said, well, this is it for me. This is my third time trying. Make it your 300th time trying. On the 301 time, you will get through. And so if I
Nice.
could give anyone advice, and that's my advice to young people, to women, people of color, believe in yourself. If you have it in here, you're going to shine through. Just don't give up. Don't
You
give
know
up.
what? Well, I'm gonna say
So
my
that's
dream now, whether it's an office or a studio or whatever it is, I'm gonna build something, and I know it, and I'm gonna have you design it.
there you
So
go.
when God take me to
I'll
that
bring you
level,
out. I'll do your grand opening.
when God take me
Absolutely.
to that level, by the time I get to that level, I know who I'm calling.
And
I'm
you will.
calling Miss Rose.
Yep. You better. You
I,
better.
you know I am.
All
I
right.
appreciate you so much, and I think this is such
My
valuable
pleasure.
insight. And Miss Rose Staram, I can't tell you enough how much of a blessing it has been to basically have you here with me today. Because what, like I said, what you don't understand is that when we're starting out on our journey and we have our own dreams, and we look up to people who have built their dreams. And again, you know, I remember when I first came across you, I didn't even know you had worked with so many people of stature. Like I didn't know that at first. What I saw is an interview about you and your business, and you were doing that interview with TD Bank. And it just struck me because you were talking about your own personal experience and some of the struggles that you went through, and you were encouraging and inspiring. And I grabbed hold of your words. And at this time, I wasn't even doing this platform. I wasn't even thinking about building a talk show. I was doing something totally different. And I hadn't really discovered and stumped up on this yet. But you definitely always stayed on my mind, and you inspired me. And of course, I followed you on Instagram and stuff. And of course, then when I did come across this platform and I did wanted to build this platform, you were the perfect person. And I'm one of those type of people, never be afraid, just reach out. All people can ever tell you is no. But you might just get that yes, and you were that yes. So I just want to say thank you again today.